Hey, my friends. Today I'm here to talk to you about what's going on with your Social Security COLA and the things that maybe you haven't heard. I saw some really interesting news today, especially as I was diving more into the fine print. So I'm excited to go over some of these details with you today. So, long last, Bureau of Labor Statistics finally got people back to work. They released that CPIW report so that the Social Security Administration could finally announce the 2026 COLA. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of reports by now that the official announcement is that Social Security will be going up 2.8% in 2026. That adjustment will take effect with your January payments. And it's expected that the average person is going to receive about $56 more in their checks as a result of those changes. But a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot more to that story. There's some interesting things going on with how they calculate it, as well as, an interesting push to actually cap future COLAs, which I was really surprised to see. So today we're gonna talk about, some of that news that I think you need to know, and then at the end, we're gonna talk about that proposal to cap future COLAs as well, because I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that, and I thought it was something you'd wanna know. So, first, I want to point out I know every time we do this conversation, I hear from so many of you that say that that cola just isn't enough. And you're not wrong. I was surprised to see that there is, sorry, gotta back up. I've been researching this all day, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So the government bases that COLA increase on what's called the CPIW report, but that's tracking the spending habits of workers, not retirees. So it's not actually factoring in a lot of those increased costs that you experience. Now, there is another measure they could use called the CPIE, which specifically tracks the expenses faced by Americans over the age of 62. And it's generally higher than the CPIW report that they do use reflects what retirees are actually facing. But they haven't decided to use that for COVID populations yet. And they say that it's because it's harder to track where seniors shop and it doesn't factor in any senior discounts you can use and all of these other things. But there are different organizations that are pushing for Congress to make this adjustment so that they use that CPIE report, which I know sounds really technical and really boring, but if we could get that change enacted, it could result in higher COLAs down the road. So I wanted to make you aware of this because if you see in coming months that groups like the Senior Citizens League are kind of pushing for that change, it's a really good change to get on board with because it could help boost those COLA amounts in the future. Now, the Senior Citizens League has been pushing for this for quite some time. There's a really interesting report that they posted on their website that points out that Social Security has lost over 36% of its buying power since the year 2000. And I know that, like, I know you already know that because 'cause you're living it, but it's really kind of stark, I think, to see that in writing that over 36% of that buying power has just disappeared. They're saying that in order to actually keep up with inflation and the changes in the cost of living, that seniors would actually need an increase of like $516.70 per month instead of that, 50 something dollars they're actually going to give you this year. And that's why they're leading that push to use that CPIE report instead, because they wanna get more of that money in your pocket. So, um, anyway, there's that. The next thing I wanna talk to you about is, what I'm calling the vanishing raise for the purposes of this discussion, and I know this is the other thing that comes up every time we talk about a COLA increase. I know a lot of you have experienced this in the past where you get that COLA boost and it's really exciting and it sounds like it's gonna help you, and then by the time it hits your account, you've had more of it taken out for Medicare or prescription costs or your SNAP benefits or higher utility bills or your landlord ups your rent, and all of the sudden it's gone, and maybe you're worse off because maybe they took more than what your COLA was. And that's awful, and I hate that that happens every single year. So I wanna spend some time today talking about how you can keep more of that COLA in your own pocket instead of having to fork it over for other expenses, because I know that that happens, and it's so frustrating. So I stand on that soapbox for a while, but I'm gonna try to keep moving because I know you know what that's like already. So the first thing is saving money on Medicare. I know that healthcare expenses can eat up a big chunk of your budget, and those plans are changing every year. I know you guys have heard me talk about Chapter a lot. This is a relatively new service I found out about this year. Um, they do look at all, like, 20,000 plans nationwide to help you figure out what the best options are for you, and I have heard from so many people on this channel that have said that they're paying all of this money in premiums and other expenses that honestly they may not have to pay because of all of the savings programs and other things that exist for people who are dealing with low incomes, and I know that's a lot to navigate. I mean, that's the whole reason why we have this channel, right? Is because these programs are so complicated and there's so many different loopholes and nuances, and it's so hard to track. That's why I'm glad I partner with Chapter because they deal with all of the Medicare stuff. That's their sole purpose is to help you find the best plan for you. So if you are concerned about facing higher Medicare costs, please give these guys a call. They can help you figure that out and see what your options are. I know I have heard from a lot of you recently that their wait times have gone up a lot over the last few weeks. That's because open enrollment opened. This is pretty much the only time of year when most people can make adjustments to their plan. So they are having a lot of people call in. And from what I understand with the government shutdown, there was some impact to the APIs and the tools that they use. So they're having to do more things manually. But they are still helping people save, I think it's over $1,000 on average. So it's well worth that wait. Now, the other big one is SNAP, and I know every year I hear from people who have their SNAP reduced as soon as their COLA hits, and so I want you to know about the medical expense deduction. Oh, I just noticed somebody say that the audio is cutting in and out. Is it I'm not recording any differently than I normally do, so I don't think that's the cause. If you could just drop a comment really quick and let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me make sure all my cabling is plugged in properly. This next bit that we're gonna talk about is pretty important. Um, Hang on one second here. Oh, one of my cables is stuck. I bet that's the issue. Alright, can you hear me a little bit better now? Uh, Seeing any of the comments about the audio now, so I guess we'll move on. Um, oh, okay. You're saying it's still messed up now, even after I changed that? Let's see. How are we doing now? Is it any better? Still choppy. So one more thing I can check to see if I can improve that audio for you. Did that fix it? Okay, people are saying it seems to be fixed. Okay, that's good. Sorry about that interruption. I apologize for that, but I'm glad we could get that fixed because I wanna make sure that you're able to hear me as we go over this information. And when we get to the Q&A portion, if there's anything that you missed that was cutting out, feel free to ask me again, and I'll go back over that. I do apologize for the technical issues. Okay, so when it comes to SNAP, and I know that there are issues with SNAP right now, I know that the government shutdown is messing with all of that, but I'm optimistic that it will return again because it's such an important program. The medical expense deduction is an absolute lifeline for seniors and people with disabilities. If you are over the age of 62 or you have a disability, you may be able to qualify for this extra deduction, and what it does is it offsets the amount of income that counts against you if you have out-of-pocket medical expenses that cost you over $35 a month. There are all sorts of things. Oh, it's doing it again? Really? Um That is really, really weird. Hang on. Hmm. Well, I could call my tech guy in here, but it would be pretty disruptive to our stream, so not entirely oh, there's one more thing I can do. Hang on. I'm good at research. I'm not necessarily good at tech stuff. This is absolutely not my wheelhouse. Um, if you guys can bear with me for one more moment, I could try Uh, oops. Okay. Did that fix the audio issue? Anybody? Get everything plugged back in here and see if that fixed it. Sorry about that cutout of the visuals and stuff there for a second. I'm hoping that that fixed our audio, maybe? Yes? No? Getting mixed results? Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and keep going because I'm not sure what else to do to try to fix this. And I will try not to talk with my hands. Okay. So like I was saying, those medical expense deductions can cover all sorts of things. And I know we've talked about this in other videos on how it can cover things like your prescriptions, your premiums, your deductibles, all sorts of things that you would naturally consider as medical expenses, but also the cost of your transportation to and from doctor's appointments, any expenses related to a service animal. I kid you not, I have the handbook up on my sidebar over here. It even I couldn't believe that I saw this. It even lists housekeeper monkeys as an eligible expense. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. It also talks about how if you have to use a credit card for a medical expense, that payment may qualify. There's all sorts of things in there that can count toward that medical expense deduction. And statistically, most seniors are not getting all of that um, in their, they're not getting all of that deducted the way that they should. And so if you're seeing your SNAP go down drastically as a result of your COLA, um, try that medical expense deduction. Document those medical expenses that you have. Get that information into the state agency, and hopefully you can prevent your SNAP from declining as well. Okay. So sounds like most of you think the audio is better. Hopefully that holds. I'm sorry that it wasn't better right off the bat. I don't really know what's going on because I didn't change anything to my setup. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So step 3, claim your discounts. Okay. There are all sorts of things out there that okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs down. I assume that's the audio. Okay. Sorry, guys. Disruption really threw me off today. There are all sorts of programs out there that are designed to help seniors and people with disabilities save money on their expenses. So if you are not already receiving these things, you absolutely should go get these. So if you're a property owner, if you own your own home, you may be eligible for, okay, sorry. You may be eligible for a property tax exemption. Um, Sorry, guys, I keep getting distracted by the chat. Is the audio really so bad that you can't hear me? Let me call my tech guy really quick. I did not language, otherwise I would do that. Okay, message my tech guy. Hopefully he'll help me figure it out here in a minute. Okay, so yeah, so many counties offer senior property tax exemptions that can help you save hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year on your housing costs. You need to contact your local county assessor to see if that's available for you. But that is something that can save you a significant amount of money. I know in some areas they even refund past overpayments, so that's been a way that a lot of people have been able to receive assistance. Utilities often have senior or low income rates as well that can reduce your power, gas, or water bills. And so if you're paying a bill to a cell phone provider, a cable company, any of that, I recommend that you reach out to them and see what they do to help offset those costs. A lot of them have promotions that they just won't tell you about until you call in and push. And I know that feels awkward and uncomfortable. I've gotten in the habit of doing it just because if you don't, you're basically overpaying for things. That's another good way to help keep that cola in your pocket. Sorry, guys, I'm a little flustered by all those audio issues we're having today. Um, Another thing you can do is subscribe because you know we're going to continue posting about everything we find out as far far as assistance and ways to save money goes. You can also sign up to our email list because YouTube doesn't show you all of our videos, which is really frustrating. Uh, so that's another way that you can handle that. And now, before we wrap up here, hopefully you guys are able to hear this part. There is a proposal that would put a cap on future COLAs. And when I first read that, I panicked because I know that the COLAs you receive right now aren't adequate to begin with. So, I know I saw some really carefully worded headlines about that, and I want to make sure that you aren't misled by anything as they continue talking about this. So, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget is saying that they need to cap future COLAs to protect the trust fund because it's only 7 years from running out, and if they don't do something, then everyone will get that 24% benefit cut by 2032. Now, that's if Congress doesn't act. We all know that Congress is expected to do something to solve this. Now, I know there's might be some scary headlines out about this, but I wanted you to know that the cap that they're talking about implementing only apply to higher income retirees. It's not going to affect people on a low income. Oh, it's garbled again, is it? Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do about it on my end. We'll just try to get through the video, I guess, and then we'll see what happens from there. Okay. Now, this COLA increase issue is, sorry, I'm definitely flustered by the tech issues today. So under the plan that they've proposed, everyone would still get a COLA every year. The difference is if you're a higher income earner, you would get less than if you were a lower income earner. So the thing that they're proposing is a dollar amount cap. So hypothetically, if the COLA were 2% and the cap was $900, someone who was using someone who was receiving $50,000 a year in benefits would only get the $900 instead of the full $1,000 that they would normally be eligible for because of the cap. Now, in this scenario, which is a hypothetical that was included in their proposal, then someone who's receiving $45,000 or less a year in Social Security benefits would not be affected by the cap. In this hypothetical scenario, they would be eligible for a $900 raise, and that's what they would get. Now, anyone who would have normally received more than that would only get up to the cap. Now, obviously, that's not something that higher income earners are going to like, but it is something that is designed to help keep Social Security solvent longer for those who need it the most. On a personal note, I'm not speaking on behalf of low income relief, but just me as a person, I think this is one of the better proposals I've seen for fixing Social Security because it's going to make it so that those of you who need that the most are going to be able to continue receiving the full COLA while people who maybe have social like more coming in aren't going to get as much, but it's still better than that 24% blanket cut they're talking about everyone getting if it runs out. So not ideal, but in my opinion, it's better than some of the other options I've seen. But again, this is just a proposal. It's coming from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Congress hasn't voted on it. They haven't really voted on much lately, which is why they're shut down. And no changes have been approved right now, but we do know from what we've seen in the past that anytime there's Social Security news that comes out, people jump on it and share it all over the place. And there's a lot of clickbait that comes out. So I wanted you guys to have the facts right away. Ultimately, if this proposal were to move forward, the biggest concern would be whether they decide to set that cutoff, whether they were going to cap it for people who are in the top 25% of beneficiaries or the top half, which is something that they discussed. If they went for that 50% bracket, it would affect a lot more people and create a lot more hardship. But that's not something that we would know until it is formed. So. All right, so with that, just our standard shout out to chapter. I already talked about them, so I'm not going to rehash that. I am going to try to jump into the chat and read through all those comments and try to hopefully ignore the ones about the audio and just get your questions answered to the best of my ability here. Yeah. So Richard's saying it sounds like a bad internet connection. That's really weird because I'm using my better one and I tested it right before I started the live and it said that it was good quality for streaming. So I don't know. Sharp Tongue is saying, will Section 8 people be impacted in December if the government is still closed? So we did another video about that just a little bit ago, and we said that December would be funded. It's January where the problems could begin if it stretches on that long. And hopefully it won't, because we're already talking about people not getting SNAP. And I'm hoping that they're going to somehow fix it this week so that that is not an issue. Um, But if it were to continue, Section 8 could start having an issue, yeah, in January. Sorry, I'm trying to check my stream settings to see if it's the internet connection, but it says that it's fine, and a lot of people are saying the audio is fine. So um, it's driving me crazy that I don't know what's causing that. Thank you for all of you who are being so kind in the comments. I know I kept getting tripped up in my words because of the tech issues. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. Jody, you left a comment about sorry, I'm taking it back. If I can get more context on that, I'd like to answer the inquiry, but I don't understand the question. Let's see. Is that you? Yeah. Were you able to see if you could figure out what the audio issue was? Or did you not get the text? Sorry, I'm still live. Okay. My husband's really good with tech, so I think he's trying to figure out what our audio issue is here today. Let's see. Sorry, trying to grab more questions. So Dinosaur People is saying you can't afford your Medicare premium. That is a very common thing that I hear from a lot of people on this channel. There are things like savings plans, extra help that statistically most people who are eligible for aren't using. And my assumption for that is it's because they're hard to understand and hard to connect with. That's one of the places where Chapter really shines because they can help you navigate what your options are and help you find hopefully a lower premium plan if there is a lower premium option available to you. That's why I recommend them, because with 20,000 plans out there, it's more than I could navigate on my own. So let's see. Dinosaur People says, Snap, what Snap? And that's a valid question. I mean, I know, like I said, with the shutdown, things are going to be delayed if they don't get it resolved pretty quickly here. I think I saw that the cutoff for that decision would be Monday to get it on time. Hopefully they're able to get that resolved. But I do think that we will get SNAP again in the future. I can't imagine that this is going to be something that goes on indefinitely. Oregon says, the funky sound may be a YouTube thing. Several lives have been having the same issue. So maybe it's not just me. I haven't watched any other videos today, so I don't know if that's been a YouTube issue or if it's just me or the tools that I'm using. But I do apologize that that was such an ongoing issue. Wow, we got some trolls in our comments earlier. That was exciting. Let's see. Yes, so Pamela says food is going to be tough. I know that a lot of people are very concerned about what's going on with SNAP, and rightfully so. But we did put out a video yesterday that I don't think a lot of people saw about where you can get free food during the shutdown. So even if SNAP doesn't arrive on time, there are still resources that may be able to assist you. So please go check out that video. We will also be putting out another video. I think it's on the schedule for that first full week of November, where we're going to be talking about all of the different places that you can get a free Thanksgiving meal, because there are all sorts of charities and sometimes even restaurants that contribute to those initiatives. So we will be going over all of those as soon as we're able to get the list, but a lot of those aren't usually announced until early November. So there will be a little bit of a delay for that, but hopefully we'll be able to get you something better than let's see. Max says they are cutting the over-the-counter benefits as well. Now that is a plan-specific benefit, so even if your plan is cutting perks that you rely on, again, I'd recommend that you call Chapter because they may be able to help you find other options that may be able to help you more. I know those plans a lot of people don't look at changing their plan every year, and they just carry the same thing over, but they do change pretty dramatically, so it's always helpful to evaluate to see if you have better options. Um, okay, so Lorraine says, "In some cases, you can use your OTC card for groceries. Will that be affected by the government shutdown?" The answer to that is no, because, it's not related to the government shutdown. If you're getting an OTC card, that's usually gonna be through a Medicare Advantage plan. And that's not gonna be part of the same system like SNAP. The issue with SNAP right now is, they're just telling the states not to send their information on to the servicers that actually distribute the funds because they're claiming that the funds are not available, and that's what's going on there, but that should affect your OTC cards as well. So, okay, so hopefully the audio has been fixed. My husband came in and adjusted some cables around here. Yeah. When this video is over, for those of you who are asking, when this video is over, I'll go back through and watch it and see if I can fix the audio in post editing, and if I can't, I'll just reshoot this separately and upload a different video for you so that you guys can catch all of this information. Um, oh, interesting. Okay, Jody says in Missouri, if you ask for help on your property taxes, the state will take your stuff and your family won't get anything. Now that's really interesting. There are different ways. Ooh, that's not showing up very well. Let me change that. There are different ways that states handle those things. Sometimes it's, oh geez, um, sometimes it's like a deferment where you get a break now, but then they take that money later on, and a lot of times that can lead to a problem like this. Sometimes there are just exemptions that just reduce that price overall, and it doesn't come back for you later. I know in both Washington and Idaho, there are exemption options. There a little while ago, I went through and looked at all 50 states. We have a list on our website of different ways that that's handled. I can't guarantee that there's something like that available in Missouri, but it would be worth inquiring about. It sounds like in this case, they're talking about something like a deferral, but exemptions tend to be a bit more effective. You need to tweak something else? Oh, okay. You need to turn that off. Still trying to fix tech issues over here. Um, wow. Okay. Let's see. All right, we're gonna go ahead and block this person out of the chat. So if you see somebody in the chat that you feel like is being really aggressive or unhelpful and you want to point that out to me, I can make sure that I get them blocked. Sometimes I have a hard time keeping up on things while I'm talking at the same time, especially when we're troubleshooting tech at the same time. All right, Izzy says, I am seeing TikTok videos, the government getting Social Security in November too. Okay, so here's the thing, okay? A lot of creators are gonna say whatever it takes to make you watch their videos because all of us who make videos get money from ads and sponsorships and different things like that. So a lot of these, I'm not gonna call out any particular creators by name here, but a lot of creators are not as concerned with the facts as they are concerned about getting you to tune into them. Now, here on this channel, I'm always gonna be accurate with you. Honesty is extremely important to me, and I'm never going to mislead you. That being said, you can't trust everything you see in a video online. And that's why when I'm creating slides for you, I try to show you the sources I use, like you can see here in my slides, the different websites that I looked at as I was preparing the video. Social Security will be being in November as scheduled. The government has promised that in all sorts of different places. They have pledged that. So your payments should be coming as scheduled. I'm not aware of any cuts that have been announced on that point. I don't think this is something that you should be worried about right now. Right now, SNAP is the big program that they're talking about pausing until the government shutdown is resolved. So if it'll make you feel better, I will absolutely dig into this as soon as I'm off the live here. But for now, please don't worry about this. Social Security is supposed to be fine, and always always treat it with skepticism. Honestly, you can be skeptical of me. I'm always going to show you my sources. You can always go to the website where we link to more sources, and I'm always happy to tell you what these sources are. But when you're watching a video online, you have to be so careful because there's so many people that just don't care about the facts. Yes. Okay. So Lisa Greengrass is asking, can you still use your EBT if you have leftover money on your EBT if there is no payment for November? Yes. Most states have put something on their website saying that you will be able to carry over those funds. You'll still be able to use them as normal. There shouldn't be any issue with any carryover balance. You should be fine. I have seen some fear mongering from different people that are saying, that the state's going to take it back or something like that, but I haven't seen anything legitimate to say anything like that. It looks like if those funds are currently there, they're going to carry over. It's going to be fine. Pamela says, I'd rather go to food banks than get help them commit crime, and I fully support that. I'm not entirely sure where that came from, but that kind of, anyway, I think that's probably related to the patrol we had in here earlier, but anyway, just caught my attention. Yes, so Richard the Explorer says, from what I have seen, Social Security is safe, and that is accurate. Oh, Kenneth, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. That was very generous. All right, Sharon Wooden says, are we going to get a stimulus check? If so, when? So stimulus checks are another favorite topic among creators and news outlets because everybody needs them right now. And I know we saw an offhand comment a little while ago where the president mentioned possibly some sort of tariff rebate check, but that was an offhand comment in an interview. It wasn't any sort of official proposal or announcement, and there doesn't appear to be any plans in the works to make that happen. We heard something about a Doge dividend a little while ago, and that was going to exclude low-income people anyway, and it wasn't going to happen for years and all this other stuff. And that was also just a proposal that hasn't advanced. At this point, we can't even get the government reopened, so I'm not optimistic that we're going to see anything like a stimulus check anytime soon. And I wish that wasn't the case. I know everybody needs that extra help and support right now, but there is nothing in the works to make it happen at this time. So, Lorraine, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm seeing lots of you comment in there about other creators, and I mean, I try not to judge any particular creator. There are some out there that are great, like Lisa Green is saying, that she follows creators on TikTok that worked with SNAP and Medicaid for years, and that's awesome. There are highly authoritative and highly trustworthy creators out there. It's just that there are some that aren't as great. And I definitely was not trying to say that all of them were bad. It's just when I use the internet, which I do every day for work, I'm always skeptical of my sources and I always go through and like triple verify everything just because it's so easy to get things wrong right now, especially in the age of AI. So many times I see somebody post something somewhere and then very clearly other people went and ran it through AI and rewrote it, and it just misinformation is kind of crazy right now, and it's really, really overwhelming for everybody, I think. Anyway, that's another soapbox I could stand on for hours because I deal with it every day. But anyway, yes. So Just Business says SNAP for Virginia will be paid for November. I did actually see that, and I'm preparing to put a video out on that as well. The governor basically said it was a state of emergency and they need to pay it out of state funds. And if Congress isn't able to get their stuff together in time to fix this, I'm hoping to see more states step up like Virginia did and at least fund it out of their own money. I saw reports, somebody was telling me that Kentucky was going to do something like that, but then I tried to confirm that and I couldn't find any official announcement on that at the day that I went looking for it. So I don't know if that's true for Kentucky, but I know it is true for Virginia at this time, and we are working on compiling a list of all the states that are stepping up to do that. And I'm hoping that we'll see more states join in on that because we desperately at least some stability. I feel like we need some sort of I don't know. It's just comforting to know that states are gonna take care of their people, I think. Let's see. Yes, well, Richard says the no SNAP thing is gonna hurt the elderly and disabled the most, and you're not wrong, and it's terrifying. It's also gonna hurt people in rural areas pretty bad. I know in the video that we did yesterday about free food resources, we found a lot of options, but a lot of people were saying they weren't available in their area because they live in a pretty rural area. Now, because of the nature of the work I do, I don't like to talk a lot about where I live because I've had death threats, and that scares me a bit. But I live in a pretty rural area too, and I've moved around a lot. We've moved 19 times in the 20 years that my husband and I have been married. And, even pretty rural areas have some of the food options that we discussed in that video, especially like the little food pantries and things like that. So if you are concerned about food, even if you're elderly and disabled, please go check out that other video. I tried to think of every possible option that could keep you fed through November, even if those benefits don't come out. So, um, anyway, see. Oh, Rapture Prepping says that the medical expense deduction only boosted the food stamps from 23 to $24 per month, and that is terrible. I am so sorry that that wasn't a bigger jump for you. If you haven't already, I would encourage you to go through the list of all the different things that might qualify and see if maybe there's more expenses that you could report. I know it's a long shot, but anything that can get that number up. I know 23 and $24 both feel a little pointless for a lot of people. We get a lot of comments from people who are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna bother with that because it's not that much." But, hopefully you can get that number up, and then hopefully you can at least take advantage of some of the other discounts and benefits that come just from having an EBT card as well to make that more worthwhile. Um, yeah. So Patrick McKee is talking about the impact of the COLA on SSI, and yeah, so the $50 was an average. They were saying here, I can pull the exact number really quick, or maybe I can't, maybe I already closed it. I have so many tabs open, guys, you would not believe. Okay, so they're saying that the average increase is gonna be $56 a month. That's the average. Some people are gonna get more, some people are gonna get less. It's just gonna depend based on how much you're receiving. And so that 2.8% may well only be $27 instead of the $50 average. So I do apologize for that if I didn't make that clear earlier. Okay, so Amanda says that when her dad died, there were food stamps left over on his card for years before it stopped being there. I don't know if it's a new change, but they do expire after 274 days of non-use now, and then that funding gets put back into the system. So that's not something that would happen nowadays, at least. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to get through all the comments here. Um, so Waitress says, I'm working in healthcare through my employer. Do I still have to enroll in Medicare? Strictly speaking, I don't think you have to. I did, I do marketing on the side for different businesses, and I did hear a story recently of a woman who was paying a pretty high amount for her healthcare and then found out that her Medicare coverage would have been better. So it doesn't hurt to evaluate your options, I don't think. I don't think there's any sort of mandate you have to. Let's see. Yeah, Arizona is being withheld right now, and a lot of the states haven't announced that they're stepping up to help, but, we'll be watching. We're searching daily to see, um, what's gonna be going on. So, okay. So Gary is saying that the sound is cutting out. There's a good chance that I just get off of here and re-record this entire video to make sure that, that you guys are able to get this information. I'll try to answer the questions too. We'll see how that goes. Um All right. So many of you are still saying that the audio is an issue. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up today. Um, just because if you guys can't hear me, there's a lot of value in continuing. And I'm so sorry about the technical issues that we had today. I was so excited because I had everything set up and I was here 20 minutes early and in the chat talking to you guys. and it just seemed like everything was going to go so smoothly. I can't believe we had these crazy technical issues that kind of messed everything up, and that is so very frustrating. Um, I'm so sorry about that, guys. Um, okay. Oh, okay. Couple more questions because a lot of you are getting chatty now that I said I was gonna leave. Can I change plans during open enrollment? Yes, that is the point. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't, that once you pick a plan, you can never change, and that's not true. Open enrollment is for changing. And there's other special enrollment plans too. Stephanie and I are working on putting together a toolkit for Medicare that has all the dates and different things. But yeah, you absolutely can change plans during open enrollment, and these guys can help you figure out if you want to look at the different options that are available to you. Um, oh, thank you, G Giblet. I appreciate this. Awesome. Um, okay, Hedge Hermit says I won't deal with food stamps for $23 to $27 a month. It's not worth my time and mental health. I just go play more games on Swag Bucks. Free Cash is really good for this too. They're a sponsor of ours, but if you're making $30 to $50 a month on that, that's awesome. Good job, Hedge Hermit. That's awesome advice. So, oh, thank you, Nancy. You are the sweetest. I really appreciate that comment. Lisa Greengrass says, "Why not try to leave and come back?" I don't know how to do that. I think if I signed off, I'd have to start a whole new video, and I don't know, YouTube's weird when you do too many videos in one day, so I'm kind of afraid that it might break the channel. Um, but yeah, I can, I will see if I can pull that off. We'll give that an attempt maybe. Yeah, well, assuming I can figure out my tech issues once I'm off here anyway. I'll see how that goes. Hedgerunt says the gaming place that I was talking about, that's free cash, and you can get to it at lirlinks.com/free cash. They're a sponsor of ours. They're pretty awesome. Okay. Is anyway, okay. All right. So the audio issues are still continuing. So I am actually going to sign off at this point. I do appreciate all of you guys and the fact that you were so patient with me today. I will try to get, yeah, okay. We'll just take care of that. I'll try to get this video up in a way that's a little bit easier to watch. I do apologize for that issue. I hope you all have a wonderful day and a very blessed weekend. And